Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. Sorry I missed you yesterday. I had some travel plans going on and was not able to do the take, but here we are. Matter of fact, why don't we go all the way back to Monday then? Well, Monday, we opened strong, we finished strong. That was the entire story. The reopened trade was there. Things were rocking and rolling. The old school tech really driving force on Monday. Well, you get to Tuesday, and suddenly you have a market that is starting out pretty strong. Things look pretty good. And then the fade. And the fade happened fairly rapidly, both for the NASDAQ and for the Dow. The Dow was up about 100 points, finished down about 80. NASDAQ up about 100 points, actually finished very, very close to flat, right around that flat level. So it's pretty interesting to see. We saw the semiconductors actually ease back. They were up over 1%. They started to ease back as well. So we've had sort of something playing out a little bit in terms of how these markets are shifting back and forth. So volatility index 17 to 19, we finished somewhere in the mid 18s. So that's right about where we probably would expect things to be. It's interesting to see the Dow itself because what was really moving. So Disney certainly was one of those names that was moving to the upside along with Boeing, but Amgen and Merck were definitely pulling back and definitely a huge impact on what was going on with the Dow and part of that slide as they were definitely pulling very, very hard towards the latter part of the day. Add in the fact that the financials were down and energy was down. Energy was down about 2% yesterday. And you can see why some of the market moves that we had seen. So it's interesting to follow along with this whole Bitcoin story. It continues. It was down about 3% yesterday. The frustrations that people have had because obviously, some folks were entering into this big Bitcoin trade and cryptocurrency trade, and we were not too terribly long ago above 50s. As a matter of fact, we were above 60,000 not too terribly long ago, and here we are now trying to hold on to these 30s, these mid 30,000 level for Bitcoin. Now, what stood out for me though yesterday was some of that reopen trade. So Royal Caribbean, you look at Carnival Cruise, you look at Norwegian, all of those names. When you take a look at the strength there, Royal Caribbean, as a matter of fact, yesterday, really rocking and rolling to the upside. Then I look over at Caesars and you look at the casinos and you look at Caesars, you look at MGM, both hitting 52-week highs yesterday. Caesars over 107. We had MGM over 43. Did ease back off of that, but really, really strong performances out of that reopen trade. And we're seeing a little bit of that follow through as well. So today, we follow this choppy market that we had yesterday and a little bit of choppiness today, as a matter of fact, because the Dow started the day pre-market, it was up about 80. It was still up about 60. It was up about 50. And then by the time we get in the first half hour, we actually went into the red. Now we flipped right back around again and I'm starting to move back up to the upside. Last I looked, we were up about 70 points. The NASDAQ really kind of hanging on a little bit better, staying in the positive, did pull back a little bit when we had seen the Dow pull back into the red, but pulled back and was still up 20, 30 points. And last I looked, NASDAQ was up about 60 points. Crude was down about 1% today. Obviously, when we see that, you look over and you see all the sectors in the green, except for energy. And energy was in the red early. That changed right away as well. That flipped right back up into the green. You had volatility, again, as I mentioned, kind of hovering around these 18s once again. The interesting trade, however, was Bitcoin as that started to get back up there again, once again, and we actually pushed and got back over that 40,000 level. We have pulled back since that time. We're back now somewhere. I'll tell you what, you blink, it's going to change. But last I looked, trading around 38,000, somewhere in that sort of ballpark number. And I realize that's a wide number, but the way Bitcoin trades, that really does stand out. It's something pretty special. So early on, not one sector was up or down more than 0.5%. And that started to change a little bit too. And I'll get into that once. Well, let's just jump into there now. How about the consumer discretionary, the XLY? Take a look at that. We've got that chart up there for you guys. And I'll tell you what's interesting. Started to move, started to get a little bit of a pace to the upside and nearly up 1% last I looked. Shoot, it might be up 1% by now. But those are names like Amazon, but throw in Target, throw in Home Depot and Walmart. And you get the idea. Lowe's, those are the names that have been powering this recently. And yeah, they've eased back a little bit in May. There's been a little bit of a pullback here and there, but obviously we've had some very, very strong numbers as well, and some strong categories within that, like Target, which seemed to almost hit a 52-week high every single day over the last 5 or 6 trading sessions. That's been pretty impressive. As a matter of fact, what did start off impressive today for me was early on for the S&P. You had Gap stores, you had Ford, you had Under Armour, you had Best Buy, all trading up 2.7% thereabout or more, call it into the 3% range, moving to the upside. Hey, by the way, what was getting hammered a little bit, and we wanted to focus on this a little bit as well, is Walgreens. Now, Walgreens Boots has come back a little bit, but Walgreens Boots was down about 5%. That was definitely part of what we were seeing happening with the Dow and pulling on the Dow. Add in CVS as well under some pressure today. And when you look at it, you take a look at Walgreens, that was a name that had absolutely been skyrocketing, especially when you look at the category and everything else in the movement. That's a name that had made a pretty sharp move to the upside. It was moving really, really rapidly. So looking for a pullback at some point. And here we are. It's a name that we have in the cash flow portfolio part of Market Rebellion. And that's something that we've been talking about over the last few weeks is some of these names, whether it's Target or Walgreens, where they're stretched above those moving averages, you just wonder, are they going to, or when are they going to pull back and start testing some of those moving average levels, 200-day and so forth. So got a couple unusuals for you, and then I'm done. But then, by the way, I am on the halftime report today. I am also on the 5 p.m. show today. So looking forward to both of those, and I'll be back on about an hour and a half or thereabouts for the halftime show. Should be a lot of fun. So I already mentioned MGM from yesterday. How about MGM today? Now, the craziness of the volumes, the stock, as I said, hit 52-week highs yesterday. So stock trading just below 43 today. We had a buyer of about 2,300 of the May 43 calls. Now, when I say May, pay attention because May ends Friday. So when I say May ends Friday. This is just a couple of day trade. So this is just very, very short-term horizon looking for a trade there. Those options were going for about 40 to 60 cents. I got another one, and it's another one that is extremely short-term. These are May, AMC. Now, AMC started off the day strong. It had a nice big spike. Early on, stock was trading just beneath 18, and we had a buyer of 14,000 of the May 18 calls. Those were not cheap. The volatilities here are extremely high. We've been talking about these names. This is all part of that whole Reddit world and some of the short interest and all of those types of things. But you take a look at AMC and the movement that you're getting today. These have already moved. I've already traded in and out of this trade. And I can tell you, if we see more paper come in here, maybe it'll grab more attention. But I'll tell you what, it's been absolutely crazy. So just be aware, it is very short term. You've got to think of this in a very short term way. But both of those trades, very interesting. And we've talked about short term for a really, really long time and seen so much of it. Well, I'll tell you what, today's a great example. 2 days for each of these, then they expire. That doesn't mean you can't trade in between, which is exactly what some of us are doing on days like today, where you get that movement that's extraordinary in just a matter of moments. So keep an eye on that, folks. I will see you at noon. We'll have some different unusual then with the halftime report. Until then, have a great day of trading.